All right, guys. Very few times in my life have I ever referenced Cardi B in a tease for the next segment. We all know what WAP stands for. I'm not going to say that
Does
right now.
everybody? Does everybody know?
I think if you listen to the song, you know, and I think at this point it'd be
But
pretty
how do we know all
shocking.
of our podcast listeners know what it means?
Um, Go ahead and look up the lyrics to Cardi's WAP and,
Just
and get
type in,
back to
yeah,
me.
just type, go to Google and
Yeah.
type in WAP and let us know what comes up.
And
It
then
should be an
park
Urban Dictionary definition somewhere.
and then park that Mack truck in the little garage. With that being said, from WAP to BAP, and that is big ass punter, because that's what Ohio State got a commitment from. He is 6'7", 255 pounds, out of Australia, no less. And I do have a soft spot for Australian punters. He is Nick McLarty. This dude looks like either an NFL tight end or a future left tackle. And I don't know if you watched the video of him punting.
90 yards, right? Wasn't it
It
90
is
yards?
it is just stupid. Like I I like the closest I can come to this is my dad's uncle played at Ohio State in the mid 60s, and when I was still really really young, his name was Uncle Dick. He actually was like a backup punter at Ohio State. And so this dude was like 6'5", 250, and I saw him punt a ball 60 yards. And again, I was like 5. I think it's the last time the man punted a football. It was the most impressive thing I've ever seen in my life until this. You should not be that big and be able to punt a ball 90 fucking yards. That's insane. Sorry for my language.
Totally forgiven. I mean, that's I think that's the reaction everybody should have to this guy. And I got to be honest, like for whatever reason, I have a soft spot in my heart for like the fat kickers. I love them. I love me a
His
meaty
name
kicker.
is Sebastian Janikowski.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you.
but there's been others. Penn State had a fat kicker at one point.
Yep.
I forget
Rodrigo
his name.
Blankenship as
Yeah,
well for
yeah.
Indianapolis. Yep.
Like the fat kickers, it is an exclusive club, and I am probably its number one fan. I just love seeing. And what's crazy too is like the Penn State kicker from a couple years ago. He would like level dudes. He would
Yeah.
run down the field and just lay shoulders into returners, and it was one of the most amazingly impressive things I've ever seen. I can't wait for this dude to basically do the same thing on punt returns. Like,
So
and
can I tell you though, the thing is, he's not fat. He's yoked.
that's true.
Like
That's true.
that's like 255 pound. Like he's a defensive end.
He's 6'7". He
Yeah.
carries his weight a lot better than like a
And
fat
it's
kicker would.
well, he's got like a six pack. And it's just like honestly, like this is the first time in the history of punters or kickers that you're gonna see skill playing position players lose out to women to this just oak of an Australian punter.
Can you imagine going to parties with that guy? Like
No.
you show up and you're like, hey, I'm the quarterback at Ohio State, and he's like, hey, I'm the punter, and they're like, I'm going home with that guy.
I'm just
And
gonna tell
everyone's
you,
like, the punter
don't do it.
is just getting all the numbers and taking all these women back. Like, what is going on here?
And I'm going to tell you right now, to all the big fatties up front, to my defensive tackle friends, to my centers, to my guards, to my offensive tackles, don't fall for that trap. Listen, wide receivers are going to beat him out because wide receivers are like 6 foot tall and 175 pounds. But to anybody with flab on them, if you go out to the bars looking for women with this guy, there'll be the rare time that you go home and it's going to be Han Solo that night.
You're gonna have to lick your wounds, okay? Sorry.
Like linebackers, you're good with this dude. Defensive backs, edge rushers, tight ends, running backs, they're going to outperform this dude because at the end of the day, they're more fit, more athletic, and probably even better looking. All of my big uglies, don't do it. I'm just gonna tell you, it's gonna be a long and lonely winter if you go out with his name Luke McLarty. It's a hell of a name too. Also has a little bit of a mullet going too.
Yeah, Nick McLarty. I love the idea of like Jesse Mirko transferring at the end of the season as almost like I saw the hate that was being slung my way on social media. I know how Ohio State fans were ungrateful for me. And then he gets like Ohio State upgraded. Like it's like you go to your high school reunion and you think you're about to show up and show everybody how great your life is, and then you realize like the nerdy kid that you picked on all the time actually ended up having a better life than you, and you just got to own that shit. Like I love the idea that he left because there was so much hate for the punting situation last year, and then Ohio State theoretically upgraded not only in the looks department for their punter, but also just a guy that can boot the thing a fucking mile. Like it just,
now you're actually into something. I wonder if they were like, you know what, Jesse Mirko, bit of a puss. He was a little too sensitive, and we need somebody who can fight a crocodile or like a fully like 3-minute once. And so we went and got Crocodile Dundee, but as a punter.
He's from Australia too, which is why it's fitting.
All right, so we got Sam Herskowitz. He's 5'7", 150 pounds. He's out of Maryland. All right, we got Malcolm King. He's about 5'5". He weighs about 125 pounds. All right. Oh, okay. Here is Luke Buttigieg, and he's 5'8" and weighs about 160 pounds. And then Luke McLarty, who's 6'5", 250 pounds. Like, do you even go past the stats? Like, do you just see like
his measurements are enough?
You see all these short king punters who are just going to get their ass kicked, and then you see this Adonis, and you're like, I don't care if he can punt the damn thing 40 yards.
So we always talk about like the evolution of sports, like Steph Curry, right? Like he changed the NBA because he takes so many threes, and now it's a 3-point game. Is this going to be the new thing? Like, is it going to become like certain states or areas are going to like breed these just Hulkian men of punters that are in the ilk of Nick McLarty, and they can just go out 255 pounds and boot the ball 90 yards? Like, is that going to be a thing where everyone wants the tough punter?
And if it is, it's going to be an international place like Australia.
What's going to be?
It just makes sense.
What school is going to become punter U? That's the real question.
Like
Iowa. Iowa's always known for their offensive line, and they're just like out there blocking bales of hay. Tight ends too. Ohio State used to be DBU. Now it's probably wide receiver. Like what school is going to become punter U? It could be Iowa, honestly, because Iowa punts an awful lot.
It could be Ohio State.
That's true. Now
it's whoever's going to corner, because I think Australia makes so much sense. You got a bunch of surfer dudes. They grew up playing soccer, so 90% of those dudes have good legs. They've got great cardio from playing soccer or rugby. And, you just have, like, a lot of people don't realize this. In Australia, there's just a lot of pretty significantly built human beings. So, like, I think it's either got to be that, or maybe, it'd be really cool if, like, the NFL, it might be the Browns, are going to Brazil for the first time this year. It'd be really cool if there was just like a Brazil
open tryouts.
It'd be like from Brazil to Tuscaloosa. Alabama's already got enough. Brazil to Starkville. If just Mississippi State just started every 3 years, there was a new punter who was like 6'4". And I'm probably overselling Brazilians here because I've known a few Brazilians. They're not gigantic people, but like to me, it's not just about the howitzer for legs. Now I need every punter.
There is something about Brazilians that's generally gigantic, but yeah.
What could that be? But there is a part of me that now it's not enough just for a punter to be able to punt the damn thing 90 yards. Now I need them to be built like a brick shit house. So if that's Australia, you know who I'd love to see? Have you ever seen the movie The Scout with Albert Brooks?
Yes.
All right. So basically, Albert Brooks is a scout for the Yankees. His number one pick self-destructs. He's embarrassed. The GM sends him to fucking Mexico because he's a disgrace. And the whole point is the GM is sending Albert Brooks, this renowned scout, to Mexico as punishment where he is to die. And then when he brings back a number one prospect, the GM doesn't believe him and fires his ass on the spot. I'm willing to be the Albert Brooks. But here's the thing. I want to be on retainer for all of the NCAA. And all I do is go around Australia looking for 6'7", 260-pound Adonises that can just destroy a football by 90 yards. And that'll be my thing. Like, and true to like some like how it works in some Major League Baseball situations, I'll also get 10% of their NIL and NFL money. So I just become like the king of punters. And it's like, hey, we need a punter. Get Wilson on it. We'll pay us with panger.
You could definitely find a lane for that. You could become the top scouter, the top punter scout in the country, where you're just
Like,
bouncing around school. Like, basically, you'll be like the Paul DePodesta of punters, essentially.
every asshole in America thinks they can find the
The
next
Greek
Pat
god
Mahomes.
of punters. That's
Like,
you.
everybody thinks, oh, I could find the next Pat Mahomes. Good. That's easy. Find me the next
Nick McLarty.
the next seven Nick McLartys, and then we'll talk. Because when you can do that, you're playing for keeps.
You think he can knock out a kangaroo? That's
I don't
always
know,
the thing,
man.
right? You can't fight kangaroos. Like, they'll always win, but he seems like he kind of gives me like very Dos Equis, most interesting man in the world vibes. Like, I want to know so much more about this kid. I can't wait for all the feature stories that come out about him when he shows up on campus. I'm very much looking forward to this.
Here's the thing. I don't know if he can knock a kangaroo out, but do I know for sure that he's fought a kangaroo? Yes. There's no way. Think about it. Imagine you're a kangaroo, and kangaroos are threatened by beings their size or bigger. You see a dude that size, you're like, I gotta check him. I gotta see if I'm tougher than him. Kangaroos are crazy. Now I kind of want to see Nick McLarty fight a kangaroo.
Can we make that happen?
Honestly, like, if you said, like, we've got a new show,
Sons of the Shoe sponsored event.
Yeah, think about it. It's just called Celebrity Kangaroo Fighting, and it's like Shaq versus a kangaroo. Like, remember Celebrity Deathmatch back in the day?
Yeah.
But instead, I'm pitting the real Shaquille O'Neal you know who'd do great against a kangaroo? Charles Oakley. Charles Oakley does not F around, and so Charles Oakley versus a kangaroo, he'd slap the hell out of one of those, and then it'd be on. Because kangaroos don't give up. That's the other crazy thing. Like, they don't give up. They just want to keep fighting.
Can we also put people that we like don't generally like in these matches too? Like Russell Wilson, for example. Russell Wilson versus a kangaroo.
I was going to say, we already put Jake Paul in a ring with Mike Tyson, and that's going to be fun enough for me.
Is that like fighting a kangaroo?
Maybe we'll put Logan Paul against a kangaroo now, right? just get both these idiots knocked the hell out. All right, guys, please make sure to follow the Sons of the Shoe podcast wherever you get your podcast: Apple, Spotify, 92.3 The Fan, the free Odyssey app. We survive because you guys help us every single week. Please follow the Sons of the Shoe podcast. Please drop your comments on the 92.3 The Fan YouTube channel after hitting subscribe. Which sports athlete would you most like to see fight a kangaroo? And yes, it's pretty much which celebrity or sports athlete do you dislike the most and would like to see get physically named?
Green.
I don't know. He just punched it in the dick. That's the problem with that theory. He just punched it in the joey or whatever we call that thing, the pouch, and then that kangaroo would fall and then all of a sudden Draymond would get suspended from game 5 of the kangaroo fighting, and it'd be a whole thing. That does it for us, guys. We'll be back later this week with the latest in Ohio State. Of course, we'll be building into next week's spring practices and all the latest in Ohio State football. Spencer, go Bucks.